Well, good afternoon and welcome to Overdivest Nurseries. I'm David Wilson, and here in the nursery where we grow over 2,000 different varieties of all sorts of perennials and grasses and climbing plants and trees and shrubs and native plants too. It's a pleasure to welcome you and to get the opportunity to show you some exciting plants that I hope you'll get a chance to grow in and around your home. And if you haven't already, can I suggest that you think about clicking and subscribing to our channel, because there's lots of interesting things coming. We're busy posting new videos all the time that I hope you'll find interesting and helpful. And if by chance any of them turn out to be valuable, it would be nice if you could kindly click on the like button too, because then that's going to help other people find out about all of these lovely plants too. Now, I mentioned that we had some native plants. Let me show you this gorgeous variety of a native hydrangea. This is Hydrangea Ruby Slippers. Now, this is an exciting selection of our native oak-leafed hydrangea, Hydrangea quercifolia. And if I zoom in here on the leaves, you'll see how it's known as the oak-leafed hydrangea. This is native to states like Georgia, down to Florida, to Louisiana. And it grows in moist bluffs and the banks of streams and places like that. Always in well-drained soil, and that kind of gives a clue to the growing conditions that this plant likes to grow in. Like well-drained soil, that's important. Also, I would suggest when you're planting it that you incorporate lots of organic matter. It'll really love that. And also put down a good thick layer of mulch, because that'll keep the roots cool and moist during the summertime. What makes this variety outstanding in our view, and we've tested several over the years, is that this is a really neat, tight, compact, sturdy plant. Only grows to about 4 foot high by about 5 foot wide. But also, if I zoom in here now, you'll see these enormous big white flower heads that come out on strong stems, and that's the impressive thing about this variety. Even after rainstorms, it doesn't flop down. It holds them because these stems are really sturdy and stocky. And what's neat about them too is when you look at them now in early summer, you'll see that they come out with this kind of creamy white, I suppose even lime green tinted flowers that quickly turn to bright white flowers, and then just as quickly will start to take on a pink coloring. And then later on in late summer and going into the autumn time, you'll see that it takes on this really deep ruby red coloring too. So you can watch a whole series of changes going through on these flowers. And when I'm talking about the flowers, I might as well mention right now that this makes a terrific cut flower. Perfect for putting into vases and arrangements. Really impressive. I've seen some people use these in all sorts of creative ways to make really gorgeous decorative arrangements. But it's really growing it as a garden plant that we would like you to consider, because this is a plant that you could grow either as a single individual. You could certainly mass it so that you've got a nice impressive clump of them. It would be wonderful for putting down the sides of driveways and pathways. And what's neat about it is that it will grow either in sun or in partially shaded sites. Now, it's a kind of natively woodlandy type plant, so if I had a choice, I'd probably put this in a little bit of dappled shade, but it will do perfectly well. And in fact, our plants here on the nursery, our mature plants, are out in full sun, getting hit by the sun all during the summertime, and they do just perfectly fine. And before I forget, I should also mention that it's not just finished with these beautiful flowers. It also produces gorgeous autumn color. So when we get into the cooler autumn months, you'll start to see really rich reds and purple colors on it too. And then even during the winter time, the stems, if you look at them closely, will be exfoliating with peeling bark that is really quite attractive too. One thing I would suggest when you plant them is that you choose a site that's very free draining. That's important. They just do not like many other hydrangeas, they don't like to grow in wet conditions. But also when you do plant it, work in plenty of organic matter. They love that humus rich soil, and also put down a layer of mulch too, because that will help to keep the roots cool and moist during the summertime. Selected by Dr. Sandra Reed at the U.S. Arboretum's breeding station in McMinnville, Tennessee. This is really a result of a long process of breeding. She made the first crosses way back in 1998, and then after selecting and evaluating it over a period of 10 to 12 years, it was introduced by the National Arboretum in 2010. Needless to say, the name comes because of its rich red flowers and the resemblance to those famous ruby slippers that Dorothy used in The Wizard of Oz. With 3 clicks of her heel, it took her back to Kansas. Hopefully you'll be able to click your heels and be able to enjoy this gorgeous selection of our native hydrangea. This is hydrangea ruby slippers, an absolute must for somewhere in your garden.